Hey guys, my name is Sediak and welcome back to another episode of Subway Builder, the London edition. Where last episode, guys, we finally built a connecting line at the end of our red and blue line. We extended both the red and blue line by one, and it turned out to be super expensive. We are now, basically, we don't have the luxury of the demands we had within New York City, so we are now just pretty much praying that we earn enough cash to keep these expansions going. Now, we've got to the point where we're doing pretty good. Our operational profit is slowly and steadily be increasing right now, to the point where we're now making $40 million profit every single day, which is not far off being able to build one station a day. I know it sounds quite depressing, doesn't it? But I've got a plan. And today, we're hopefully going to double the profit. That is a very, very bold statement. And we're going to see how this is going to get going. So if you're enjoying this little beautiful London series right now, where the expansions are about to come in thick and fast, then make sure you smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new around here so you do get notified when more episodes do come out. Now, what I'm going to try and attempt to do is try and elevate the yellow line. And I want it to cross the river, but I want it to cross elevated and then lead into this area where we're going to hook it up on a quad station system. Only just here because it's instantly going to come in to then turn out and head towards more of the South London area. But that quad station network there is going to set me up for quite nicely for lines running through, because it is going to end up being quite a busy area. But I want to try and build elevated because elevated is going to save me a lot of money in the long run. So just before we cross the river, I want to see if I can build at least one more stop. And we'll try and at least get that one elevated. So first things first then, we're going to jump into build mode. We're going to first build tracks parallel, and I'm going to make it a +5. I just want to see if cutting across here is okay. So it seems to be okay. +5 is perfect. Now, +5 is only 0.8 of the cost in green, by the way, in green. So you can see the difference of what we then particularly pay. Not bad, not bad. But I can reduce it down to 4. Does 4 work? So 4 would not work. Oh, we got to be 5 meters above the ground. But if I can get it to 4 in certain areas, which, do you know what? It's going to be more difficult than you think. But it's better than building it underground. So to build a station then, if I was to build a station just here, now this is a lot to ask for. This is a lot to ask for. If I built it there, that should then allow me to kind of bend between them two buildings and then continue on. But give me all this space here to go from underground to then above ground. Now, to build an elevated station there only cost me 60 million, which, when you think of it like that, 40 million a man making a day, 60 million for an above ground station, it's cheaper than 75 million. All of a sudden, that is looking pretty affordable, boys. Pretty affordable. So let's get to this point on our -4, right? Yeah, we'll get to there -4, and then we want to get up to plus. No, we want to get to 0. We can get to 0 just there because the costs then are so dramatically low. I can build that single extension right now with the money I have in my bank account. But I want to go a little bit further. I don't also want to start it there. I do want to go a little bit further to where we're going to build another station. Now, this will be +5, and then build it literally here, and that will be the final station before it then incorporates itself into our quad station system. So this is going to cost me 141 million, which does sound a lot because it is a lot. And then we are going to run that around like this and then connect you up. And then I'm just going to add my crissy cross just there. because I'm not going to commit to my quad station just yet. But we've now turned that yellow line from underground to above ground, which is going to be fairly interesting. So if I can extend my blue line and red line a little bit more as well, that will really, really help us in the form of picking up more passengers, because it won't be then just treated as an end route. There's more to extend over by. So how much did we make on that previous day then? So we made just over 40 million on that previous day profit. So how much do we need now? We need the grand total of 200 million. Right. Fair enough. So I could repay off my loan now. All right, repay it off so I'm no longer paying the bond interest payments. That will save me a few pennies a day out of right now. And then we're just going to allow the money to slowly creep into our account. Now, it's a shame I can't build blueprints in stages, because it would be nice to build those blueprints there, save that blueprint, then build a second blueprint, and I can then choose which blueprint to pay for, because it'll be nice to kind of now work on some next extensions and then commit to building those after while still having a secondary blueprint that I can work on. That would be pretty good. That would be, if developers are watching right now, give us the ability to add in multiple blueprints. Appreciate it right now. Appreciate it. Right, Anyway, boys, so money should roll in a little bit quicker now because we're not paying, like I said, those interest payments on our bond. It has been slightly expensive because we had to add the little crisscross in, but 200 million for a 2-station extension across the river? Well, that's going to make us make a few more pennies, isn't it? Now, at some point, we do need to think about adding in more trains. We are starting to fill the current trains up. So by that logic, I'm going to increase the ticket price to $5. Because if I'm filling the trains, I can afford to lose some passengers. So it's basic supply and demand. If the demand's high, we increase the ticket price. There we go. Because I can't afford to increase the supply. Economics 101. So that should allow us to make a few more pennies now. We'll see how we get on with that. I'm kind of excited to find out what that's all going to be about. Right, so we can get, like I said before, a bond of 100. So once I get close to 100 in the bank, I can then issue that $100 million bond. I've got enough money to do that 2-station extension. Right, let's keep it going, boys. So money should creep in pretty quick right now with that extra 50 cents on the old ticket price. We are within rush hour right now, so this operational profit should slightly increase. I'm hoping it's not going to hinder me increasing it by that much. I hope it's not going to hinder me too much. So 35. What are we saying right now? 36. 37. Could we push the $40 million? On today alone? I'm not sure if we're going to, but at least my trains are not overloaded, is the question. Right, so we only need one more in-game day. We're at, can we get 40 million? 40 million? Or are we at the point right now where we are, there we go, 40 million. Right, so if I check the last 24 hours, you'll see that in those low demand periods, in the morning we lose the money, but the low demand in the evening, we're able to sustain it. So it still doesn't make sense to have low demand trains. But at the minute, it's only to the point where it doesn't make sense to have low demand in the morning, but it seems to be okay on the evening. Because you can see the evening is from 8 till midnight. That's okay. It's the midnight till 5 in the morning where we haven't extended the network enough that one train makes sense. But as we get more and more further out, as we extend the lines more and more, it eventually will make sense. It eventually will. Right, let's wait for 5 a.m. then for medium demand to kick in. So that day on its own, let me put it back to all time. That day on its own right there, we still were able to make the same amount of money by increasing the ticket price. It just reduced the amount of passengers on our trains, so they're not always overloaded. So no one's now disappointed. They're only disappointed in the ticket price. So rush hour should be pretty good. It should be pretty good. So we're getting close to 100 million in the bank where we can do them extensions. Now, building that would obviously be super expensive. So I'm wondering if it then makes sense for me to elevate from this side and just try and keep the yellow line all completely elevated. So when I check the demand stats here, workers, not so much, but we are going to make this bend down to head to that work area. And it will be going through quite a decent amount of residential spots. So I'm happy with that. Right, we're very close, boys. It's literally now just a countdown of hours until we are able to build that line extension. A matter of hours that we are now countdowning. I also feel like that, to be honest with you, I do feel like $5 is too much. I'm going to put it up to $4.50 because when you think about it, I'm not paying the bond money and I just about did make the same amount of cash. So maybe that's just not working out for me. Who knows? Who knows? Right, so we need the grand total then of 202 million. So once this gets to 102, I'm going to issue that additional bond and I'm going to do that line extension. And then the yellow line is then making more money. I think the yellow line might start making more money and actually transporting more passengers than the blue line. I think it's about to happen. Right, let's issue the bond money now. I'm just waiting for those few pennies to get into our bank account. They're now there. We can now commit to those blueprints. I can now extend the yellow line. Right, edit the route. Line extensions. Bam, 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 bam. Nailed it. Confirm. Right, let's see what this does for us then, having that extension of the yellow line. So this is the current route ridership. I think them 2 station extensions right now are going to make the yellow line carry more passengers than the blue line because the stations are further away from these 2 existing lines. So it's tapping into new passengers, whereas the blue line almost shares passengers with the red line until we kind of start to spread it out a bit more. But we'll see what happens anyway. So we're about to go into the low period right now where we don't make any money. Is what it is what it is. But because we're now traveling a bit further, could it be a bit better? I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense for me to run the passengers. But that from, 8 till midnight. Oh, I say 8 till midnight. It's still only a couple of hours for those, so it's not all the time. It's not all the time, is it? Right, let's begin our next set of extensions then. So we want to elevate the yellow line going this way now, because that would make a lot of sense. So checking the demand stats, let me just pin these. So is there any point stopping here? Do you know what? It's pretty worthless to build a station here. Unless I built the station there for a line crossing over there. That's the only time it would make sense. There is a couple of workers, but like I said, it doesn't really make much sense. So why don't we focus on... how much would the quad... I just want to find out right now how much the quad station elevated here would be. So quad... I'm going to build it at 4 because the costs are even lower. So if I was to build it there, that would cost us 33.75 million. Do you know what? I'll commit to that. I would actually commit to that. And we'll make the yellow line run through the center. So that's workers. Residential now. That's obviously going to bend this way. For the yellow line. We're going to build a station. We will go parallel. And I'll keep it on a 4 because it's cheaper. So I've only got to do a 5 when the train line is crossing over the road. Look at that, 56.25 million to build these 2 stations. The money's in the train tracks. That's where the money is. So if I can build train tracks and if I can keep it to a 5 just to there, and then drop it down to a 4 for the rest of this. That saves me considerable amount of money. So it's only now 73 million. Not bad. So we'll do the same over here then. So we only really need it to be a 5. So if I build tracks, go 5 across this road there. And then also it's going to have to be here as well. Oh, okay. So it's not going to like the 5 there. So if I go, ooh, right, we have a slight issue. So building depths. Oh, hello. If I go 10. Right, we're going to have to go underground that. That is a road, but it might be a bridge. So if I did 0, right. If I did -2, -4. What? What is the depth of view? Like, seriously, what is the depth of view? I've got to get down to a -10 just to get past this. -10 is ×2 versus a +10. A +15. I'm going to have to go under it. I can't afford to delete it. So this is actually now slightly backfired on me. This is now slightly... Can I do a -9? No. Right, this really has slightly backfired on me. I don't think I can get from here to there. No. So I'm actually going to have to do it as a... Can I even do a quad that distance? No. Ooh, okay, this might have backfired on me slightly. I feel like I might need to move that station back a bit. So undo. Let me delete these tracks. Let me delete that station. So build station. We'll put this quad station then on the ground because that will then save me... No, do you know what? We'll put it -2 because then it's already dropped down by 2. It's already then dropped down by 2. The parallel... Oh, hang on. I'm trying to build a station there, aren't I? The parallel... Right, to there. Right, it's a -2 anyway. It's a -2 anyway, but I didn't realise that was going to be such a problem. So then to do a -10 passing here now is not a pain. But I want to do it as short as I can. So that would lead in. Now I've got insufficient funds, because that's going to cost me 94 million. But I want to get this up. So build tracks. To a 0 as quick as I can. There we go. To there. And then round. So what's that cost me now then? 117. It's not too bad because I'm not far off having that money to commit to that. Ooh. Historic days. First trains roll through London. That happened it was after 31 days of preparation. I haven't got very far in 31 days, have I, in the game? Right. Connect you. And then obviously add a crisscross there. So that's going to cost me the grand total of 144 million. So building this with a set of, well, with a quad station, the fact that we did it so low, even with a -10 underground little strip, was cheaper than building this here. Well, then again, when you look at it, it is quite short, the distance, so it kind of does make a little bit of sense. But that is a nice little extension right there. Nice little extension, which is going to incorporate another train route crossing through. So I am, in theory, almost following some of the... I mean, it's not perfect, but I am slightly following some of the train lines. But there is an ability here for me to also turn that into a quad. All this quad tracks for something to continue up in this direction. Isn't that the Victoria station? So I can make it pass through there and it to be the line that goes up this way. See, that now makes me want to change all of this to be a quad system, which I could do because I know that's going to... I could do it up to that point here. So build tracks, build station, quad. Now, if I put this on the ground to save me... Yeah, maximum... Or do I do it slightly elevated? Right, I can do +4 for maximum elevation. Now, where would that run in a different direction? I could do it like here and there. Oh, I'm going to get rid of these building depths, by the way. I am almost following existing routes, which I didn't really want to do. But it's not going to be too bad for us. Right. It's got to be a +5 going over this. Oh, I'm not even on tracks, am I? Right, +5 there. And then do that. Do that. And then if I was just to do this here, because we are playing around with the depths, and then parallel that to there, all I care about now is adding a crisscross here. So what has that done for me now in terms of cost? It's only added an extra 10 million on, but it does set me up with the ability to incorporate a quad system to go in multiple directions. So I'll probably end up doing another station there and a station crossing over there, as that one goes that way, and obviously that one continues to cut across. Yeah, not too bad. I'm hoping it works out. I'm hoping it's going to work out. So we only need then a few more million, which we're actually not far off getting. And then I've got another 2-station extension for the yellow line. Now, has the yellow line already surpassed the blue line yet? It has. Now, with these 2-station extensions, could we potentially see, boys, the yellow line competing with the red line? I don't know there. But once I get to here, we're going to start making progress and building a line that runs up through these two to create more interconnectivity within London. Right. Not bad, not bad, not bad, boys. Not bad. So what is the money we're now making? Then we go all time. Oh, okay. You can tell when we opened up the extra 2-stop extension on the yellow line, I've now gone to 50 million in operational profit a day. So those extra 2 stations generated me an extra 10 million in profit a day. Not bad, not bad. Which is, as you know, an elevation of 4 is a single dual station a day I can build. Not bad, boys. See? Money rolling in. The money is rolling in, boys. The money is rolling in. So, yeah, we're going to try and build the next system. We're going to keep it all elevated. And I think once we get to this point, we'll make it go underground. Underground to cross on the Buckingham Palace station. And I've got to decide then where I want it to run next. Through Soho Square or the Swallow Place. Not sure yet. We'll figure that out when we cross that bridge. Right, how much did I need to commit to those blueprints? We needed 155 million, which we're less than 10 million away. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Now, we don't unlock the next bond until we make $100 million profit a day. So, slow and steady wins the race. There we go. Costs, build those... build those blueprints. Right, let's extend now this yellow line. So, edit the route. And there we go. Confirm those changes. Nice. So an extra 2 stops, which is making that yellow line as long, if not longer, than the red line and the blue line. So now, where it did start off as a simple, a very, very simple connecting, supporting line, has now grown into its own thing, given its own importance. I love it. I absolutely love this. Right, let's keep it going, boys. Let's keep it going right now. And I'll be interested to see what now happens on the next day. How much it then jumps up by. Could it be that we might not start needing bigger trains? I don't know. Right, demand stats, and we managed to gain an extra 0.1 from the original 2 station extension. But then this one is going to be even more interesting. Right, while that does what it needs to does, let's get us doing what we need to do. So building again. Stations. Now this is all going to be parallel. We know we are going to... Oh, actually, that's a good point. So that should be on the ground. So if I parallel this to be a +4... And if I do it like that to give us enough room for the turn. And then that creates our transition. I'll do a station just here. And then I need to do a station, which is going to have to be a +5 to go across that road. Could you argue the stations are going to be too close together? Yes, you could argue that. But I think we've got enough room for maneuvering that it will be okay. What is the demand stats there? Yeah, I mean, it gives them 2 stations to walk to. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay. It's just making me spend extra money. It's all it's doing. Right, let's get this now connected up as a line. So currently it's 105 million this cost. I know, crazy. Build the tracks, singular tracks, and that should run. So if I get that to run just there and then straight in, and then, oh, that runs perfectly. Okay, that runs okay, that was better than I expected it to be. So we've got to go through a +5 to obviously go across the water here. So let's get to there. Oh, the bend is too bendy. Right, as short as I can do it. And then obviously bringing this to there. We get this on the ground as quick as possible. I'm all about trying to save as much money as I can, which that allows me to do so. Just by dropping the elevation, I'm artificially just saving a few pennies. So that 2-station extension, actually it's 3 stations, and I've got to do one more bit now, don't I? Right, build. So let me just first see if I can get this to a -5, which I can. So that's -5. We're now underground, and we'll be able to connect up further down the road. I then need to make this a... Can't do a 4. It's got to be a 5 there, annoyingly. but keeping that to a 4 as much as I can. Right, we've got a free station set up there, which is absolutely glorious. And if I can get it to Buckingham Palace here, it would be perfect. So we're now underground on this, by the way. We're now underground. So can I get away with a -3? I wonder if I could here. It's a -2, actually. I'm trying to save, again, a few more pennies. -4. It doesn't really matter, because -5 is still the same price as -4. But that's the problem here I've now got. So what is the build depths on that? Right, can I see the build depth, please? It says zoom in to see foundations. I've zoomed in. Is that going to be... What about -7? Right. Right, a -10 works. To here. Now, I'm going to have to delete this set of tracks. And bring that to there. Right, undo what I've just done. Let's see if I can get it to an 8. Right, a 10 to there. Right, I've got it to a 9 there. Was the 9 enough? No. Right, okay. Undo, undo. Right, I've got it to an 8 there. Undo you. Right, I'm going to... Where can I make it a -5? Here. Right, this is all on the ground, but I'm having to navigate the depths of these buildings, which is a little bit on the ridiculous side, if you ask me. But that new line will now have the ability to cross over the yellow line, the blue line, and into the red line to create more connections, create quicker routes, and it should pick up the amount of passengers on the red and blue line at the same time. Now, we are minus... Well, we've got to be a -10, don't we? This is where the money now gets spent. So I've got to get to a -10 as quick as possible. So there. That then allows me to run all the way up to there. So I'm going to run to this stop here. And if I can get it to the road as quick as possible, I'm sure I can then make it a -5. I can't because that station's a -5. Because that's running on the road. So could I do it at -9? Now a -9 works. It's still a 1 times building cost. But I've now got to get from there to there, which is easy to do. Now, this is going to be so expensive, by the way. This is going to be so expensive. The costs are 369 million because of the sheer depths that we're now looking at. Now, of course, I'm going to have to add a crossover, right? I'm going to have to do a little bit of magic over here, unfortunately, because on the singular tracks, you've got to go around like that. And those additionals cost me 383 million. Right. If I can do that, that will be an absolutely glorious expansion and make this feel more integrated than it ever has done before. Right. Route ridership. The yellow line doesn't quite reach the heights of the red line, but we'll see what happens when we incorporate this next new line into the mix. It's a pretty expensive one, but it should work out in the long run. And this should also make the blue line be used a lot more as well by this extension. Right, what are we now looking at? You can see where we added the first 2 stations, and then the second 2 stations, we're closing in on 60 million a day. Right, by that logic then, we need 5 days for 300 million to be able to afford... Actually, no, we need 4 days to be able to afford that line. Now, I could get rid and pay off the bond, so I'm not paying the interest. So I know I need 280 million in the bank before I can get my next bond. So I basically need to make 200 million. Okay, I need to make 200 million or have 200 million in cash before I can build that. Fair enough. Now, checking the 24 hours, we're still losing money on these days. Not these days, sorry, these hours. But it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours out of the day that we lose money. So that's getting less and less. We're now only losing money 5 hours out of the 24-hour period. That was a lot higher previously, but with these additional line extensions, there is a few more passengers we can squeeze on board. Right, I wonder if I can add any more trains to high demand. So no, I'm out of trains. To buy a new train is 12 million. It would make me a lot more money in the long run, so I'm just going to buy 1. So I've got 2 on the yellow line in high demand. That should help me out because that yellow line is just as long as the red and blue line, and they have 2 in high demand. So it does make a little bit of sense. And we've got 2 trains now running. Actually, I wonder if I can also put that secondary train on, medium demand as well, because it's the same 2 trains. So we might, in theory, generate a few extra pennies now. With the fact that we've got that extra train on the yellow line. We might not see the benefits until tomorrow. So that could be pretty interesting. Right. The money is now rolling in. I am loving this. But we'll see what the next day brings anyway. So, just a slight bit more from the extra train that we're now running. But we won't see the true benefits until we've done a full 24-hour period, which I think we're going to progress in quite comfortably over 60 million in operational profit. I think that will be the case. I should have stuck to building a new elevated line rather than building this underground one, because underground is where the money is. I should have committed to all of this running down here being elevated, and that would have gave me more passengers a lot quicker, a lot easier. But it's too late now. I've committed to this. Right, 24-hour period. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that 6th one there is making money. So still within the 5 hours that we're only losing money. It's not too bad. It's not too bad now. We are getting somewhere. Right, we've got that additional train in medium and high demand on the yellow line now. So we should be transporting more passengers, which then moves more passengers onto other lines. Then them other lines have more passengers. It's just a big knock-on effect. A big knock-on effect, boys. Very nice. So let me just work out how much we needed again. Sorry, we needed 383. I can get $100 million loan, so I just need 283. So we are 140 million away. So by 140 million standards, if I am hypothetically making 60 million profit a day, it's just 2 and a bit days. 2 and a bit days, he says. He says right now. But let's see our demand stats. We've managed to gain an extra 0.1%. So at the start of this episode, it was 0.4%. We've now got it up to 0.6%, which is pretty good. But now we are, in reality, slowly pushing to the more residential areas. Now, I know we started in quite a heavy worker area, and it doesn't really benefit you unless you have lines going to residential areas, because you can't really transport workers to worker areas. You need to transport, residents to worker areas. So because we've already got this connection set up and it's more direct now with this additional line, as we now continue to expand out, we should snowball. We've kind of done it the opposite way around. You normally want to kind of pick up the residents and then work towards a worker area, where we've started in the worker area and then work towards the residential areas. But now we're doing so, you can start to see the money is creeping in. So that will now split into 2 directions. I've got another line that's going to cut through. These red and blue are going to extend to more residential areas, but we are getting there. It's gearing us up for it. We just got to get there. Right, we need 100 million more, which is technically a day and a half. Right, this day is about to end right now. With that extra train, we've now bumped it up into the 60 millions, which is good. Get out of here, transit times. So now we're making 60 million profit every single day. It's a nice little stagger, isn't it? Nice little stagger. So we're almost generating 90 million in profit. In revenue. Sorry, not profit. In revenue. Every day right now. So that's looking pretty solid. Right. So wait for rush hour to begin again. You can tell when it's picking up, because we'll have 2 trains on the line. So now we're in medium density or medium demand before the high demand kicks in. So we need to do 100 million in daily revenue. That's not profit, that's just daily revenue, which we got to 87 million. And then I'll be able to issue a $500 million bond, and then we can truly do the big expansions. That's when it all kicks off. So we'll do that with this line extension. After I built this line, our whole company is going to transform as I'm able to borrow extra money. It is going to completely transform, and it's going to be scary how quickly it does transform. Right, so we've got 25 million so far on the day. So we need to do this day. I reckon this time on the next day is when I can commit to building this line, and then we can add it in. I'm very excited. Now, the problem with London compared to the New York series is when you check the demand stats. If I was to go ahead and select all these workers, so I think you hold shift, shift and drag, they want to go everywhere. There's not like, it's like the New York series where it's almost kind of easy to work out where they wanted to go. It was hugely densely populated, the New York series, but in London, while it is still hugely densely populated, it's more spread out than New York. Because basically, you just needed to get everybody into the Manhattan Island. Whereas London's not really like that. There's pockets here, there, and everywhere, and it's like more evenly distributed than being concentrated in one area. Granted, there's a lot of workers here, I get it, but the residential side of it, it's really evenly spread out almost. Right, so a few more hours before this day ends. Oh, we're well into the 60s now. It's 62. But we should lose a bit anyway. It should now come down a bit because obviously we lose money at this point. But this is the day now, boys. This is the day I now get to build that new line that's going to create more connectivity, shorter routes, ease up the trains on the other lines, but also add more passengers because it goes to new areas. I'm excited. So what does it really do? Well, the main thing it does... Right, how can I get rid of... I think I've got rid of it, right? So the main thing it does, it connects within these big worker areas. It also transports from the red line to the blue line in the middle with a lot more ease. Connects up the yellow line further down, where we're going to have a big junction here of multi-lines crisscrossing over one of themselves. Picks up some residents within this vicinity. So it doesn't really do much for reaching new areas, but it creates more of a supporting role, very much like how the yellow line did. Now, at some point, that quad line's going to come down. One's going to go this way and one's going to come down this way. So, you know, that's going to work out fairly well in the long run. And if I was to pick you, for example, where do you want to go? So once we get the line in, people who are here, there's a couple of stops right now. There's 3 stops along the blue line, which will be pretty handy. But that's it. So we do benefit a little bit there from that one. So we'll see. Right, we're less than 20 million now away. How much did we make on the previous day again? Sorry, we made 63 million. Less than 10 million now away. And we still got another rush hour to roll through. So, right. The daily revenue is nearly at 90 million. So this new line, like I said, will give us 100% should push us over 100 million to get the $500 million bond. Right. Less than 7 million now required. And rush hour should be kicking in shortly again. This will be the most we've spent in a single build. Bit foolish of me. We should have stuck to just elevated. But it's okay. And we should now be able to issue the $100 million bond. So we'll do that now. And then we need about... Oh, we've got enough. Bam. Built. New line. And I'll do it green. So this is obviously going to be called the green. The green line. And create. So the green line, we're going to edit the route. It's going to start here. Bam, bam. Bam, bam. Bam, bam. Bam, bam. Which that quad there will eventually cross over that as another station. And then bam, just there. And then confirm those changes. Now the issue is I don't have the trains for this. So I can put one. Apparently I do. Right, I'll buy some more. I need an extra 7 million. Right, I've got the line up and running anyway. But I need an extra 7 million. 5 million now. All right, that's going to be a big help. 6 million. Oh, I'm going to have to wait. All right, we're going to have to wait till the next rush hour in the morning. Now, I could buy one. And I want 2 and 2, but I'm out of trains still. Right, it says I'm out of trains. I'm not sure if I am or not. I think I'm out of trains for high demand. I think that's where I'm out of trains. So, a new day. I only want to buy one more, so I need 11 million. But that green line, I can see it's already transporting passengers. Which is going to, like, energize the blue line slightly. Right. Almost got enough. Bam, buy. So that gives me enough trains, so I haven't got to worry about anything else right now. So, route ridership. Already, the green line's got 5,000 people on it. We've got to get the full day before we actually see what it kind of balances out at. Very good. And then we'll see what the operational profit brings us. But we should now start to get more passengers in general, as they're able to transport themselves with relative ease. Nearly 10,000 right now for the green line. And we're waiting for that secondary rush hour for the day. Right, 10,000 is about to kick in. Bam, there we go. It's a super important line already. Right, station ridership. So that becomes, these two stations now are very important for crossing over. Very good. Transfers happening all there. So it's gone down from 10k to 9k. So you're now going to start finding people transfer here. Rather than, because obviously before, if you wanted to go from there to there, you would have gone all the way down to there, transferred and come down. But now you can do a shorter one. So that does work out well. But still the big transfers are to the yellow line. The green line needs a little bit more time. So where are we at now with this? We have now got I can now, once I can pay this off, I can now issue the $500 million bond. Because our revenue is 106 million so far today. There's still a few more hours to go. The operational profit now up to 70 million. So I want to know on the 24 hours then, are we still losing money on those 5 hours? So there's one, we lost money. Will we lose money on this one? There's 2. So it's still 5 hours, I think. We're 2 hours into this. Right, is that number 3? So you can see we made 136,000 at 3 a.m. So this is the 3 a.m. one. We made 136,000. We made, 800,000. So I don't think are going to be far off. So it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one we should make profit on. Oh, actually we lost on that one there. Interesting. So we actually gained an extra loss an hour, but the revenue within inside of them is getting a bit higher. It is getting a little bit higher. But forgetting all that anyway, connectivity is now looking great. We've done a beautiful yellow line extension, which we have also set ourselves up for additional extensions, which is, I think, what we're going to work on next episode, is doing a nice little elevated route coming through here. We're going to have to incorporate a line maybe coming from this way as well. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much I want to kind of take into account existing lines in London. But it gives me the building space to do it anyway, so it's all good. And we're going to bring it into here as well. which I'll make that go underground at some point to cross through this going more north. Or we can bring it into these 2 stations here. Could be interesting. Could be interesting. Right. Boys, we are going to end it here right now. We are doing absolute wonders. Our revenue is now at all-time highs, over 100 million in revenue. Our profit is over 70 million, so we've managed to jump it up by nearly 10 million just based on that one singular line extension alone. So let's keep it rocking and a rolling. Until next time, I will see you all soon, so goodbye.